Hey, good afternoon. I'm Michael Fleming, and I'm currently in Atlanta, but I've been a real estate consultant since probably around 2003, 2004 is when I first came into real estate. And at the time, again, I mentioned I was in Atlanta. There was a real estate broker by the name of Dr. Linda Avery. She had over 1,000 agents, and so she used to make about $1 million a month. And so she brought me on as her business development specialist. And I tell everybody, I said, she was making so much money that for our Christmas party, she would rent out the Brave Stadium, the entire Brave Stadium. And so I ended up being her internal consultant. And she brought me on originally to assist real estate agents and brokers in doing business development and also in doing business planning. And so, I quickly became like the real estate advisor. I'll get as much about my background because it may help with some of the things we'll talk about later. But in 2005 and 2006, I started comparing the real estate market here to Detroit and some of the other African-American markets around the United States. So without even knowing about the housing crisis and issue, I started telling Dr. Avery late 2005 and all the way through 2006 up to 2008 that the market was going to crash. And her colleagues were like, how you know this? What are you talking about? They kept saying, you don't know what you're talking about. And I was like, no, I'm telling you, the data tells you, why guess it's something when the data tells you what to do. And so I ended up describing to Dr. Avery to the T about what was going to happen in various markets that she had her clients in. And so she would gladly tell people, she was like, yeah, Michael told me a year and a half in advance before the crash. And so we made recommendations and suggestions about trying to help out our agents and other brokers to kind of sustain themselves through the market. And sure enough, she outlasted all her colleagues. I mean, the crash didn't really take her under until around about 2000, late 2010, early 2011. But her peers, they pretty much were closing their doors between 2007 and 2009. So a lot of the reason I'm giving you that prep, because I'm anticipating that hopefully a lot of what I get to share with y'all is my understanding and analysis of what's going on in African-American markets and African-American real estate agents and brokers around the country. So, but it's an absolute honor to be here. So looking forward to it.
Listen, Michael, I'm already excited to have you on, and I wish I had you under my umbrella in 2008 when I was at LO and the market took me under. I went back to corporate America. So I can relate to the ones that had someone, a business developer, someone forecast and say, hey, it's time to make a change. Because my broker at the time, he was about to retire and he was at Puerto Rico. And he was like, do what you need to do. And deals were easily closed, just like today's climate. Last year, you can get on social media, you can post, you can fake it till you make it, you can get deals to close, right? And really didn't have to do the work. Let's talk about the climate right now, because you're the business developer and you know we're in that shift. So let's talk about the
No, first of all, Kamisha, I love the way you just even did that, because that was candid. And because most of the people that's still in real estate that still call me, they're like, man, you all gloom and doom. I said, let me tell you something. The truth directs your path. And so, in other words, that sometimes you can't travel the paved road that you used to travel in, and it definitely is not, a flat plane. I mean, that thing elevates up and down and does some pretty dramatic stuff. And so, and so it's going to seem like I'm talking about gloom and doom now, but to me, I get excited about knowing the nuances of things. And so it's easy to look at. You're right. What hit is obviously during COVID, all this cash hit the market. And let me tell you something. I say stuff sometimes that people like, man, people gonna kill you. And but I think about it. For someone to walk into some place and hand over $150,000 to $300,000 to $500,000 in cash, who handles that much money, right? And see, so and this is relevant. So it's not gonna seem like I'm on some long tangent about this too. See, so what people forget is there's a cash economy out here. And now I'm going to go off on this quick little tangent because it's relevant. And but there's a cash economy, right? So when I say that, people are like, oh, cash, they're thinking about money you put in the bank and that kind of thing. No, I'm talking about the illegal activity of cash, right? See, so if you think about, and again, I right now as we talk, like my TV is on CNBC, my tablet is on CNN. So I watch my money on the big TV and I watch politics on the small screen, right? Because the money tells the politics what to do. And so all day long, they're interviewing these millionaires and billionaires, but they never talk about this cash economy. And so the symbolic part of that is, and again, I promise you this won't be a tangent, is that so the illegal community, that's drugs, anything and everything you can think of that happens in the illegal community, it produces billions of dollars a day. So when the economy crashed, their typical places to launder money had also shut down: casinos, retail shops. And this sounds, and I'll tell you, there's data out here to prove all this too. So a lot of times in the cash economy, they'll open up like a boutique or something like that. That's why sometimes when you go in these boutiques and it's like, why is this dress $500? I'm telling you, most likely that is a place that's laundering money. But this is significant to how commercial property gets driven, and then of course how residential property gets driven, and then how the states decide on where money should go. So when the cash economy seized, the drug cartels and all the illegal activity money had nowhere to go. So where did they put it? In real estate. So that's why they walked in with $150,000, $300,000 in cash, all that kind of stuff now. So now that the market is now that all the kind of places that they launder money, casinos and gambling and all that kind of stuff has opened back up, that money got pulled out of both real estate and got pulled out of the stock market. That's why the stock market is now taken, because there's no constant, consistent cash flow that kind of revitalize all of it. And now for the typical real estate agent and broker, they're like, how is that relevant? The ship doesn't dictate the ocean. So when you're sometimes trying to concentrate on your sales, but you don't understand what's happening with the climate around you, then you don't understand how that's influencing the way you spend your time every day. Because it's so easy to get, it's kind of so easy to get tunnel vision on what you need to be able to do. You have to have some sense of how the economy in your city or your town is being shaped. And we're going to come down, I'm going to come down to that as well. So now the challenge is now, if that cash is not out there, but it drove the prices of homes up in just about every, and they know just about in every metropolitan city in the United States, it drove the prices of homes up now. So there's no real true affordable housing anywhere in the entire country, unless you're willing to move at least 50 to 75 miles away from a metropolitan area. And then, and those prices don't fluctuate. So if you buy a house, 70 miles away from a metropolitan area, not everybody's going to move out there and buy your house. So you might as well settle in. You're going to be in there for 20 to 30 years. Now, having said that part of it, because I'll try to make the circles complete, is that if you're an African-American real estate agent and broker, I'm telling you right now, you need to do that though. You're pretty much not going to have, unless you really are dealing with high wealth clientele. And that's few and far between. I love to hear people say, oh, I got this athlete and these celebrities and all that other stuff. I just haven't known anybody who's consistently been able to make money, in African-American, that's been able to make money at that realm. They may get one here and there and that kind of thing. And see, again, the exception is not the norm. And so you get excited about the exception, but the reality is that's not the norm for the person. You may know one or two person, but that takes a lot of infrastructure to be able to sell $1 million house every month. That's just not the norm. That's good and to kind of have in your head to think that you're doing, but that's not the reality for 99% of the people that's out there doing it. So what's left? Y'all are in Houston, I'm in Atlanta, and those cities actually mirror each other as far as how the economy goes. Houston is definitely probably about 5 times the size of Atlanta as far as how the economy goes. But we literally can take city by city or state by state, and I'm willing to tell you what I know about what the economic drivers are in that particular community to be able to do it. But right now, the undercurrent right now that's happening is that cash infusion that hit the last 2 years is turned the real estate market up. I mean, it fast forwarded all the gentrification that these cities wanted to do. And so that's the other thing too. So that process alone, that's why things are not staying on the market long, right? There's already perpetual buyers inside of it, and then they can afford to both rent or do the short-term rent. I mean, they got a whole strategy around it. And that's not the stuff you're going to see people talking about on TV. First of all, it's fun. It's not fun. It sounds conspiratorial and that kind of thing, but there's data out here to validate all of it. So this is not just me randomly. That's Tamisha knows me well enough to know that I don't say anything that I can't try to find you a resource or some data or something to try to show you that there's some backup and validation to it at the same time. So I'm gonna pause right there because I know I hit y'all probably with a lot of stuff right there, and it can be broken up in several different things. But any direction from there that y'all want to go in, or I can just kind of keep going, pretty much on what I know about what the market. My intention is to try to help any and every person that's listening, that's both a renter, a buyer, seller, or whatever they're looking to do, is to help them understand that these are subtle factors. They're not as subtle once you start paying attention to them, that you should be calculating into what you're going to be doing the last 2 quarters of this year and what you're going to do the first 3 quarters. Yeah.
So, like you said, give me the mic. I'm gonna take over. I got the information for your people.
Yeah.
We don't care you been on this station 5 years. You got it.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it.
Exactly.
I love it.
So just like you gave those individuals that had, the heads up, the forecast for what was going to happen back in, 06 for 08 crash, we already talked about, you talked about a little bit about the cash market and how that affects our market right now, and that you see the interest rates going up, the stock market going down, etc.
Absolutely.
Now,
Absolutely.
give the agents, the individuals, the consumers, give them some tips on what they can do to help themselves advance, or at least not decrease their income, assets, etc. in a switching or turning market.
Yeah. So, the first thing that came to mind and what you're asking is, and most people, and this is just in the executive coaching that I do anyway, is that most of the time they think of themselves by their title, not by their expertise. So if you're a real estate agent, you're a real estate subject matter expert. So sell the value of being a subject matter expert. It doesn't have to always be you're moving a property. You understand the nuances of being in real estate. So you should be definitely kind of leaning on being both a real estate advisor and a real estate consultant to even some of the people you already sold a home to. So if you're not getting a home sold every month, then I'm telling you, offer your services as somebody to help them understand both refinancing their home or doing home improvements. I mean, most real estate agents are, if we're going to look at it from the agent's perspective, are extremely well networked. Your network is what has value. So there should be a revenue stream connected to every one of those areas that you have expertise in. And I never stop selling houses, because most people who are in real estate, they're passionate. They're passionate about being a real estate agent. But you really got to be honest about the fact that if you're not moving homes like that, both on the buy and seller side, you still have value in what your knowledge base is. Open that up more, talk more about that. Maybe get a separate card that says that you're a real estate advisor. And that was one of the first things with Dr. Avery. And I loved it, because I only had to have this conversation with her once, when she was like, Mike, because I kept bringing her the data, and she was like, so what do we need to do? I said, it was the first time that I know of that I had ever made that suggestion or ever heard anybody say it. I said, you need to tell all your agents to stop saying they're agents. This is right before the crash. I said, start telling everybody they're real estate consultants. But now I'm trying to come up with something even stronger. So that's why I'm saying that you're a real estate advisor, because advisor has a direct kind of action kind of tone to what you do. See, so you should have, as a real estate agent, you should have all those subsets of things that you are interested in real estate as a revenue component. So that's one of the main things, because there's no particular market right now and I got to say this, and I'm being candid and honest about it. Most African-American real estate agents, it's the whole thing is that, white folks' ice is colder, right? Same machine, same everything. But the reason I say this in reverse, technically, in most cases, in the 20 years, almost 20 years that I've been doing this, most African-American real estate agents can't get white people to buy from them. They can't get other minorities to buy from them. And yet we score as high or higher on the real estate exams. So are we less? Do we know less about the market, or do we know less about real estate than they do? No, it's perception. So, and that's hard, extremely hard to overcome. See, so now for the few that can do it, and again, if I usually use a sampling of 100 people, right? So we had 100 black real estate agents, and honestly, you probably got 5 that can have that diversity, that true diversity, where a good portion of their sales is other minorities, something like that. But that other 95%, they're just not going to do it. And it has nothing personally to do with you. It's just the perception that they think that somehow we're not as knowledgeable about real estate as they are. And in head to head and toe to toe.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, Michael. And just because this is the real on real estate, I want to say it's also mainly about your sphere of influence, where you putting yourself in rooms. And if you're not diversifying your activities, then you're going to get what you market. And that's the problem I see with a lot of my colleagues. And they want, why do I only get renters? Why don't I get Section 8? Why all my clients have credit repair issues? And that's because that's the rooms that you're put in. And me and Tamisha solely believe in your network is your network is your net worth. And then the thing that you touch bases on as far as the name on our business card. So I want to just talk to you about that. The problem that I have with that, and I like it, and we have creative names on our back. My buyer agent is not called a buyer agent. She's called a property eliminator. It's just something that gives somebody understanding of, oh, what is that? What's your title? But when you talk about consultants and advisors, so many of the wholesalers who's not licensed, they're putting that on their cards. And that's because they can't hold our designation. And then someone is getting with someone that's telling them, hey, pay me up front for my knowledge. And they're getting paid on the back end. And this client is now paying more for something that they sit down with someone who's licensed and we really care and we're passionate about our business, we're not going to charge you up front because we know we're going to get paid when you close. We actually just want to get you there. And so that's the difference with that, putting on, consultant and advisor on my card versus team lead or broker and things of that nature. That's my feedback on that. What's your thought?
Well, see, no, and I'm saying get a second card. So get a second card because that represents your whole set, your additional set of revenue components. Because the idea of just having just the agent doesn't truly speak to your entire knowledge about real estate. It's just as an agent, because then people are just thinking about an exchange of property. And then most African-American real estate agents, they don't do commercial property. But in doing research, because Kamisha, I definitely have a history with Kamisha, but Kamisha, in doing research on both of y'all, what the first thing that stood out is that y'all are business oriented. So if you're being a real estate agent and you're not business oriented, then to get in those networking rooms, especially when you deal with other minorities use their property as part of their investment decision and business decisions. So what we think is just a living decision is buying a house. So if you haven't educated yourself on understanding the business functions of owning property, then you're right. If you go in those rooms, you don't even know how to listen to the conversation, let alone engage in the conversation. So you need as much of a business mentor that's not just real estate, just somebody that you understand the business language of what you do. So being part of that may be a thing of joining some of the business organizations and then join it. That's the thing people don't understand. And Bill Gates has a book called Business at the Speed of Thought. And then there's another book called The E-Myth. In both of those books, they describe that if you bake cookies and all of a sudden you go in business, if you don't know how to run the business, you're probably going to end up hating baking cookies. See, so that's the same thing. So you gotta have this thing where you understand where those two dynamics take place. You need to have some element where you understand just how strong you got to be business minded, not just real estate minded. And I promise you, they're going to coexist with each other in a way that gets that person to feeling strong about themselves, and don't expect it to happen overnight. So find real estate. Most real estate agents, because it's all built into how the real estate coaches and all that stuff, they quick on telling you to get mentors in real estate, but you rarely hear them say get all these business mentors, people who really talk to you about the business understand. Otherwise, Kamisha, they can't even survive in those rooms. That person feels extremely intimidated, don't want to come back. Get past that. You're going to feel that anyway. So, get past that part of it and get on to the other side. But yeah, that second card is about your business knowledge. The primary card is about anytime you want to sell and close on a home. So does that kind of help with that?
Yes. So, we can talk forever about real estate and how to increase your business, your cash flow and all that great stuff. I want you, while I'm talking, to look for that screenshot, or shall I say that presentation that you presented to YRD. And show that entire worksheet where it goes from your past, your present, and your future, just so we can see a glance of that, and then put something in the chat, the link, so that they can get access to that. But the reason why I'm asking him to do that is because you guys are both accurate. We understand that there's several different things that we can do with a real estate license itself. But sometimes we only put ourselves in a box. And so we need to find out if we're going to put ourselves in the box, no problem. But just find out what box you want to put yourself in. And do you want to take yourself out of that box and put it in another at a different time, right? And so what we want to do is show them how they became who they are and why they do what they do as of now. So they can show how to increase the things that they're doing now times 10.
Yeah, and I'm literally, so I'm grabbing it now, and while I'm finding it, what I love about what you were describing is that there's no way around it. That whole thing of being in and out of the boxes, yes, you should be able to go back and forth, but you got to have a bunch of them. You really do. You got to have 2 or 3 different things, and you hear people talking about it all the time, the multiple streams of income, and then some friends of my son, and my son's 10, and a bunch of his friends, and everybody was together, and all the parents were talking. And I was the only parent who really wasn't worried about their future. All other parents were like, man, what are these kids going to do? I said, man, the world is flat to them. I said, they living in a space now that from the moment that they think of an idea or concept, they can actually produce that idea and concept within 1 week. And then they can have a full following online, within months. And so there's a dynamic to trying to kind of understanding what's emerging, what's happening, what's really the things that are happening now. And to give a great example of it, and they actually cover it in real estate. I'm forever trying to give people the resources that I use. Netflix has a documentary. I love documentaries. That's called in the future of. That's what it's called, the future of. But I literally just finished watching it a couple days ago, and so I would absolutely recommend that if you watch the future of, they talk about one of the episodes. They talk about the future of real estate. But what I love is it's important to watch all the other episodes, because as cities and companies and corporations make plans for the future, they're building property around those plans. See, so again, if you understand the planners in your region, because it's not just a city, it's typically a region. And just like the Houston region, right? Houston is like the epicenter for an entire region, and then Texas is unique because of just dang near every city y'all got is its own state. And so, but yeah, so you got to have a sense of who's making decisions everywhere. And while I'm loading the page, I'll give you a great example. Follow the Department of Transportation in your city. I'm dead serious. Yep. You need to always know what their plans are, because they're usually the largest contractor in the entire state, and they will do intimate domain in a minute to get somebody's property and move stuff around and do all these different things too. So they're the planners, and they typically have a 30-year plan on what they're going to do and where they're going to do it. So if you've never even thought about that until this moment, you're probably at least 5 years behind and not understanding it. So again, you got to understand the influences that influences what you do. You're not in isolation. You're not in vacuum. There's always these other things that push that sway your direction one way or another. So that's the setup. But Tamisha, I have it ready if you want me to go ahead and show it now.
You can go ahead and show it. I gave you host ability so you can show your screen.
All right, you see, Kamisha, I was researching you, and okay, here we go. And so what Tamisha was referencing is I had this thing called Vision Quest. We also call it Life Quest, and in less than 45 minutes, as much as I talk, in less than 45 minutes, we can map out your whole life in less than 1 hour on this one little sheet of paper. Believe it or not. And what it does, this system is set up to look at this bottom section in the and I'm more than would love to host one if y'all ever interested. I can host one for y'all and all that kind of stuff, and no charge.
I'm gonna just tell you, me and my accountability partner, we will do it together on the Zoom with you.
Good stuff.
We definitely will.
We're gonna do a private one, so we're gonna put ourselves on your calendar.
Listen, can I bring my team? Can I bring my team with me? A team of 5.
Oh, absolutely.
My team and us, we'll all be on there working. Because I believe in growing my team up. So I think this is some dynamic for the whole team.
And Kamisha, let me tell you how much I love that. It as much as most people get frustrated with what the collective, when you have a resource of people around you, that's just all part of life management. That is, when a person's not available, processes have to do. So the more you expand your team, then having an appreciation of the communication process and all these other things, could do a whole show just on that by itself. So you didn't even have a particular cue, and you referenced that. So that's the way most people don't know the value of that. Just to say that, just to give you an idea. Yeah, but to give you an idea, this bottom section literally is the way you view your past. The middle circle is the way you see yourself now, and then the top circle represents the future. And then these entire pathways get filled in. And then it's not casual. I put the United States on here, and I put the globe on here. So United States, right? COVID, no telling. We're probably 330 million people worldwide with 7.8 billion people, right? And so what does that mean? That's not just some random population numbers. So as the United States goes, so does your economy, your bank account kind of go. And as the world, so I mean, that's, again, we could do a whole session just that. But I tell everyone, the universe has requested your presence. I got to throw this in here. Because most people are like, I don't know how important I am, or they don't even know how to describe it that way. I tell them, I said, if the universe didn't want you to be here, you wouldn't be here at this moment. That's how important you are, right? Is that your role, it may not be well defined yet in your mind, but it's there. But when this drawing is filled in, I'm going to show you what it looks like when it's filled in. Now, I know there's a lot, but this is your life story down here at the bottom. This is about your family history, where you are now, your goals, your breakdown of your goals, timeline of day. All of this gets filled in less than 45 minutes. In less than 45 minutes. And then this turns into a 1-year life plan and a strategy session. So again, I appreciate Tamisha even referencing this because I don't ever say anything without having something that I can show you as a backup of where my thoughts and logic came from.
And that is so true. Let me tell you, anytime he says anything, he has a presentation, a write-up, everything, okay? Let me tell you.
An Excel file.
An Excel file, okay? So I absolutely love everything that Michael do and how he does it. He breaks it down so you can understand it and you can execute. So I definitely wanted to share your knowledge, your information with our listeners and my accountability partner so that people can understand, like, hey, you can do whatever you want to do. Just put a plan to it. Just put it on paper and make it happen.
Make it work for you. I already have about 3 other topics I want you to come back for. We normally don't bring the same guest back twice in 1 year, but we're bringing you back at the end of the year. We want you to talk, especially about the property management aspect, of me being a property manager. And I talked to Tamisha that we'll be doing development conversations and property management. It sounds like you fit both. So maybe we'll go back to 2 hours that segment. I don't know.
Yeah.
2 hours. You know, wealth of knowledge. Well, we told you before we end, we asked all our guests to tell us the good, the bad, and the ugly. We're a little bit over time frame, but we want to know the good, the bad, and the ugly of today's current market forecast.
Okay, so I feel like I need to start with the bad and ugly, so that way I finish with something good.
I like it.
But the bad part is there's no short term. There's no. I can't find it anywhere. I can't find anything to where if you're thinking like, okay, I'm gonna be doing well in the next 30 to 40 days. I don't know what it is. I don't know which market has it right now. And so the idea of that, I just don't know. The ugly part is this recession is real. I'm gonna tell you that now. And so for whatever that means to a person right now, and in all honesty, I think it's gonna last until 2024. And so it's gonna be a rough ride. It's gonna be a bumpy, rough ride. And the good part is this is a chance for you to add to who you are. This is a chance for you to really expand, things that may be uncomfortable. And the quote I have for that: "Smart is not what you are, smart is what you do." And so if you do the things that make you smart, you get smarter. That's just the way it is. And so and so exposure. Try to find as many mentors and the things that you have a passion for as possible. Open your mind up to the resources and tools and things that are out there now. If you don't have a YouTube page, get one, because you need to have a social media presence that doesn't have anything to do with Facebook, because Facebook can manipulate your data and assets and of course Facebook has their Instagram partners and all this kind of stuff. You need to diversify into that as much as you can. And again, check with your department. Start following everything with your Department of Transportation in your city, in your town. The other thing too is I could go on about that, but I guess those are probably the 3. So that was the good, the ugly, and the bad, ugly, and good.
Yes, we definitely thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, like Kamisha said, you're gonna come back. You need to share more information with our listeners. So until next time, have a blessed Wednesday. Do you have any salutations, Kamisha?
No, you guys, the COVID numbers are going up in the Houston area. You guys be careful. I know a lot of us, I'm saying us, a lot of us that went without the mask for a while, but I've had just 3 friends within the last 5 days say they got COVID, a family member as well. So let's pay attention to it. So I say be safe, you guys. Mask up, you have loved ones that have weak immune systems, so be mindful.
Definitely. Well, until next Wednesday.
I'm sorry. Women Council.
Oh, yeah.
Fellowship luncheon. It is this Saturday. If you have not gotten a ticket, you are going to miss a treat. We have a very, very special guest coming in the building. He's going to be the MC. And it will be on Saturday from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Misha, do you want to tell them who the guest is, or should I?
You should. I will be present, but I don't know who the guest is. I do apologize.
We have Michael Bowen that's going to be there. So he is definitely going to be a great MC. Those in the Houston area know exactly who he is. And I am happy that we are still blessed to give out the high school seniors that's going out to higher education. That is a
scholarships, absolutely.
Still a mission. And if you have any questions, our president, Madam Alexis Sims, would love to help you. And our chair of the event is Tasha Armstead Bay. Go to womencouncilofhbra.org to sign up today. Only $50 to help some young kids do more than what we did, because the goal is to make sure our leaders are better than today. See you next week.
Awesome.
Be blessed.
Awesome. Y'all take care. Pleasure. Absolute honor.